Iran vows long, painful response if U.S. renews attacks. Efforts to resolve the conflict have hit an impasse, with a ceasefire in place since April 8. Iran says it will respond with long and painful strikes on U.S. positions across the Gulf region if Washington renews attacks, and has restated its claim to the Strait of Hormuz, complicating the plans of the United States for a coalition to reopen the waterway. 2 months into the U.S.-Israel war on Iran, the strait remains closed, choking off 20% of the world's oil and gas supplies. That has sent global energy prices surging and heightened concerns about the risks of an economic downturn. Pakistan-led efforts to resolve the conflict have hit an impasse. Despite a ceasefire in place since April 8, Iran continues to block the strait in response to a U.S. naval blockade of its ports, preventing oil exports. Tehran's economic lifeline. Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesman Esmail Baghi defended the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. This is because of the war and the defense of our right. That is, according to international law, it is legitimate, legal, and accepted, he said on Thursday night, Iran's official news agency IRNA reported. He accused the U.S. of exploiting a waterway of which Iran is the coastal state. In such circumstances, you cannot allow this waterway to be misused, he said. Baghi also justified attacks on U.S. assets in Gulf countries. Unfortunately, the regional countries also truly acted unjustly. During the holy month of Ramadan, they cooperated with a foreign party in attacking an Islamic country, and this is something that will remain a permanent demand. Advertisement. On Thursday, the United Arab Emirates said it had banned its citizens from traveling to Iran, Lebanon and Iraq, and urged those currently in those countries to leave immediately and return home. On Friday, in response to Iran's threat to hit targets in the Gulf, the advisor to the UAE's president, Amr Bardesht, said, "No unilateral Iranian arrangements can be trusted or relied upon, following its treacherous aggression against all its neighbors." Bahraini King Hamad bin Isr al Khalifa also condemned what he described as Iranian aggression against Manama and accused Tehran of threatening its security and stability and exposing internal collaborators. In a statement, the king expressed anger at individuals and some legislators accused of siding with the attackers, warning that traitors could face imprisonment, loss of citizenship, and expulsion. He stressed that loyalty to the nation is paramount, urging unity and accountability, and said Parliament must be cleansed of those who support enemies. New U.S. strikes. It is unclear whether the U.S. is planning to renew its attacks on Iran. Friday is the deadline for Congress to approve the war. Without that, or a 30-day extension, which the Trump administration must also justify by the day, the U.S. will have to scale back its offensive significantly under the 1973 War Powers Resolution. A senior administration official said late on Thursday that, for the resolution, hostilities had ceased with the start of the April ceasefire between Tehran and Washington, effectively resetting the clock. President Donald Trump received a briefing from officials on Thursday on plans for a series of further military strikes to pressure Iran to negotiate an end to the conflict, U.S. publication Axios reported, quoting sources. U.S. Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal told CNN on Thursday that he had the impression from some of the briefings, as well as from other sources, that an imminent military strike is very much on the table. He added that this prospect was deeply disturbing because it could well involve American sons and daughters in harm's way and lead to potential massive casualties. Bracing for attack. Meanwhile, Iran has been bracing itself for likely attacks. Air defense activity was heard in some areas of the capital, Tehran, late on Thursday, Iran's semi-official Mehr news agency reported, and the Tasnim news agency said air defenses were engaging small drones and unmanned surveillance aerial vehicles. A senior official of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRG) said any new U.S. attack on Iran, even if limited, would usher in long and painful strikes on its regional positions. Iranian media reports, quoting the Aerospace Force commander Majid Mousavi, said, "We've seen what happened to your regional bases. We will see the same thing happen to your warships." Advertisement. Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei said in a written message to Iranians that the enemy's abuses of the waterway would be eliminated under the new management of the strait. indicating that Tehran intended to maintain its hold over it. Foreigners who come from thousands of kilometers away have no place there except at the bottom of its waters, he said. Multiple scenarios reporting from the White House. In Washington, D.C., Al Jazeera's Mike Hanner said, "There's no doubt that there have been various scenarios laid out for him Trump by his military advisors and by his intelligence advisors as to what to do should the ceasefire no longer be extended. Obviously, that would involve some form of armed action, some form of intensified economic action. There's absolutely no doubt that President Trump has all sorts of scenarios that have been laid out in front of him, but very clearly as well, it's going to be him, and him alone, who will choose what to do next," Hanner added.